I met Emily about 3 years ago at a friend's barbecue, and honestly, I thought she was the one from the start. She had this fiery attitude, sharp wit, and a way of making everything feel like an adventure. We got serious pretty fast, and I proposed after about a year. Things seemed perfect, or so I thought. She was ambitious, challenging, sometimes bitchy, but I always chalked that up to her being a strong, independent woman. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall I believed we had a solid connection. I was planning our wedding. Everything was supposed to be perfect. The signs of trouble started creeping in a few months before the wedding. Small things, really. She'd suddenly be short-tempered, cancel plans last minute, or go silent for days. She'd brush off my questions with some excuse about stress or work, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe I was just overthinking. Then little things began to pile up. Her phone started acting weird. She'd hide it when I walked into the room or get defensive if I asked to see it. She told me she was just tired or busy, but I knew better. I even found her deleting messages late at night more than once, but I never caught her in the act. Our engagement was supposed to be the happiest time of our lives, but I felt like I was walking on eggshells. She was bitchy, sarcastic, and sometimes downright nasty with me over trivial stuff. I remember asking her if she was happy, and she snapped back that I was overthinking again, that I was paranoid. Still, I kept telling myself maybe she was just stressed about the wedding, about life, whatever. I wanted to believe in us so badly because I loved her. Deep down, I always knew something was wrong, but I kept dismissing it as my insecurities. Then came the wedding day. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, standing there with all our friends and family, promising to spend forever with her. Emily looked stunning, as she always did, but there was a strange spark in her eyes. She was acting tense, distant even. During the reception, I noticed her sneaking glances at her phone, whispering into it when she thought I wasn't looking. I saw her step out twice for a quick call, and I felt this gnawing suspicion. Still, I told myself she's just nervous, it's normal. But that night everything changed forever. We checked into the honeymoon suite and I was trying to relax after all the stress of the day. I had a few drinks and I was thinking about how lucky I was to finally be married to her. Then I saw her phone on the nightstand, illuminated and buzzing. I know I shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't help myself. I picked it up and saw a message from someone named Jay. The message was suggestive, talking about meeting up, about making it special. My stomach sank. I froze. My first instinct was to confront her then and there, but I needed proof. I started digging deeper. I went through her messages and call logs, and what I found made my blood run cold. There were multiple messages, none of them innocent, between her and Jay, my best man, the guy I trusted more than anyone. They'd been planning things for weeks, sneaking around, even texting during the wedding. The worst part, she had lied to my face, called me paranoid and insecure, told me she only loved me, that I was imagining things. And now, right before I was about to say I do, I find out she's been screwing my best man behind my back. I couldn't believe it. My mind was racing, trying to process how she could betray me like this, how she could lie so blatantly while smiling in my face. I was furious, stunned, hurt all at once. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I just sat there in silence. I knew I couldn't let her see how much it hurt, at least not yet. I had to decide what to do next. I thought about confronting her right then and there, but I also knew I needed to plan my next move carefully. I didn't want her to spin some bullshit story or lie her way out of it. I just wanted the truth out in the open. As I stared at her phone, I realized how thoroughly I'd been betrayed. My trust was shattered, and I wondered how she could lie so convincingly, so bitchily to my face for months. All I kept thinking was, how much more had she betrayed me during the engagement, and how deep did this betrayal go? The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The room was cold, the air thick with tension, and I couldn't shake the images from last night. Her sneaky messages, her lies, her betrayal, every single thing was echoing in my mind. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I had to be smart about it. I didn't want her to spin some manipulative story that made me look like the crazy one. I needed more proof, and I needed to be prepared for whatever bullshit she threw at me. While she was still sleeping, I quietly grabbed my phone and took screenshots of all the messages, calls, and any other evidence I could find. I still couldn't believe it. My best man, the guy I trusted, the guy I'd considered my brother, had been screwing my wife. The betrayal was deep, and it cut so hard I felt like I was bleeding inside. I also looked at her social media accounts, which revealed a pattern of secret meetings, late-night texts, and flirtatious comments. She was good at hiding it, but I'd caught her, and now I had to decide how I was going to deal with her. When she finally woke up, I played it cool, pretending I didn't know anything. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act innocent like she hadn't just betrayed me in the worst way possible. But I was done playing nice. I told her I knew everything, the messages, the calls, the secret meetings. Her face faltered for a second, and then she threw a fit. "You're overreacting," she spat. "You don't have proof, you're just being paranoid." That was her go-to liar line. I just stared at her and said, "You've been lying to my face for months, Emily. How long has this been going on? How much of the engagement was fake? How much of my wedding day was just a lie to cover your shame?" She started crying, but those tears didn't fool me. I'd seen her bitchy side too many times to be manipulated by her crocodile tears. She tried to deny everything, spun some story about how it was just sex, a mistake, that she loved me and only wanted me. She told me Jay was just a fling, that she never meant for it to happen during the wedding week, that she was stressed and confused. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I could see through her lies. She was a master at hiding the truth, but this time I had the evidence and I was done letting her lie her way out. I asked her straight up, "How could you do this to me? How long has this been going on? Did you ever love me?" She tried to act like she was the victim, like I was overreacting, but I saw the bitch behind her eyes. She kept insisting, "It doesn't mean anything. It was just sex." Jay meant nothing, but that didn't matter anymore. The trust was gone. I felt a rage boiling inside me, disgust at how she could lie so easily, how she could betray me so maliciously. I realized I couldn't stay with her, not after this. I needed to get out, to figure out what to do next. That day I started packing my things. I told her I was leaving, that she was done. She begged, threw a tantrum, tried to manipulate me into staying, but I was past that. I looked her in the eyes and told her she'd betrayed me at a level I never thought was possible. I told her I didn't want to see her again, that I was going to tell everyone what she did. That really made her panic, which I guess was telling. She's the type who thinks she can wiggle her way out of anything with her bitchy attitude, but I was done being her punching bag. I left that morning with her screaming after me, trying to deny everything, but I knew the truth was out now. As I walked away, I felt a strange mixture of relief and deep sadness. Part of me was angry, so angry I wanted to burn everything she ever touched. Part of me was broken, wondering how someone I loved so much could do this to me. I replayed everything in my head, trying to understand how I missed all the signs, how I let her get away with lying and cheating so easily. It was like waking up from a nightmare I never even saw coming. Now I was just trying to breathe, trying to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. The betrayal had cut so deep that I wondered if I'd ever recover, or if I'd be carrying this pain forever. After I walked out that door, I felt like I had been hit with a sledgehammer. All the adrenaline from confronting her had started to wear off, and reality hit me hard. I was alone, betrayed, and utterly fucking angry. I spent the next few days in a daze, trying to piece together what had happened and what my next move should be. I kept replaying everything: her bitchy attitude, her lies, the way she tried to manipulate me into thinking I was paranoid. The worst part, I couldn't shake the feeling that she'd been cheating on me for a long time, maybe even during the engagement. I kept asking myself how much I missed, how many signs I ignored, how much I was blind to her bullshit. I started to dig even deeper into her online life. I knew I needed to be sure, to see if she'd been sneaking around before the wedding, during the engagement, or if this was just a recent thing. I hacked into her email, her social media accounts, and found a treasure trove of evidence. There were secret messages with Jay, plans for secret meetups, flirty texts, and even some explicit photos she had sent him. It all confirmed what I feared. She'd been lying to my face for months, maybe even longer. The betrayal ran so deep I started to question everything I knew about her, about us. The most brutal part was the realization that she'd been a bitch about everything. When I confronted her, she just kept throwing up her hands, acting innocent, acting like she was the victim. She said she was stressed, that she made a mistake, that she didn't mean for any of it to happen during our wedding week. I couldn't believe the gall, how she could lie so easily, how she could pretend she was nice and innocent while screwing around with my best man. I was furious. Not just because she cheated, but because she lied, she manipulated, she played me for a fool. She'd always been bitchy when she didn't get her way, and now I saw her true colors. She's the type who'll tear you down, lie to your face, then act like the victim when the truth comes out. I knew I needed to cut ties with her completely. No more excuses, no more bullshit. I told myself I'd never forgive her, not for this. I started making plans to get a lawyer to figure out the legal stuff and how to protect myself from her lies. The first step was to gather all the evidence, screenshots, messages, call logs, and keep them safe. I didn't trust her to tell the truth about anything anymore. I also reached out to my best friend Mike and told him everything. He was furious, more furious than I was, and he told me to go nuclear if I had to. I didn't want to escalate things yet, but I was definitely ready for some serious fallout. Honestly, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. Every time I thought about her, I got this sick feeling in my stomach. I kept wondering if I'd missed other signs, if she'd been cheating or lying about other things during the relationship. It made me question every moment I'd shared with her. How long had she been bitchy, manipulative, and cheating behind my back? Did she ever really love? Or was I just some fool she used to get what she wanted? The more I thought about it, the more I realized I'd been a damn idiot for trusting her so blindly. Yet part of me still couldn't believe she'd sink so low. Trusting her had always seemed so natural, so easy. I also started to think about what my future would look like without her. Was I going to forgive and forget? Could I even? Or was I destined to carry this bitterness forever? I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. Every time I saw her bitchy smirk or heard her lie, I'd remember this betrayal. The pain was raw and it felt like I'd lost a part of myself. Still, I told myself I'd get through it. I'd rebuild. I didn't want to stay stuck in this anger forever, but right now, it was all I felt. A mix of rage, sadness, and a gnawing sense of betrayal that would probably stay with me for a long, long time. Over the following weeks, I threw myself into trying to rebuild what I could of my life. I changed my phone number, blocked Emily on every social media platform, and cut out all contact with her. Honestly, I didn't want to look at her anymore, didn't want to hear her excuse-making or her bitchy manipulations. Every time I thought about her, I felt this surge of anger, how she could sit there and lie so effortlessly, so bitchily, as if she had no conscience. I kept replaying her words in my head, the way she tried to spin it like it was all a mistake, like she was the victim. That girl is a master manipulator, and I was just a fool for not seeing it sooner. But even with all this anger, I felt this gnawing emptiness too. I loved her. I really did. I wanted to believe she cared, that she loved me, that maybe she could change. Deep down, I kept asking myself, was she really just a bitchy, selfish liar, or was there a chance she was genuinely sorry? Every time I thought about forgiving her, even just for a moment, I'd get this sick feeling in my stomach, like I was betraying myself if I let her off the hook so easily. The truth is, I was so damn hurt that I wasn't sure I'd ever be able to trust anyone again, especially someone I once loved so much. One night, I finally sat down and wrote her a long message. I didn't send it, at least not yet, but I needed to get everything out of my system. I listed all the lies, all the times I felt like she disrespected me, all the betrayal I'd uncovered. I wanted her to know how deeply she'd hurt me, how her bitchy attitude, her manipulations, her cheating, everything, had destroyed what little trust we had. I told her she was a liar, a manipulative bitch, and that I never wanted to see her again. I think I needed her to see the full extent of my pain, even if it was just in words. I knew I couldn't forgive her, not now, not ever. At the same time, I started to question whether I was even doing the right thing. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I should have tried to work it out to see if there was some way to save what was left. Every time I thought about giving her another chance, that sick feeling came back. I couldn't forget what I found, and I knew she'd never be the same woman I thought she was. The betrayal was too deep, the lies too many. I realized I had to make a clean break, even if it hurt like hell. I couldn't let her keep manipulating me or I'd end up broken beyond repair. There was a moment when I almost called her just to hear her voice, just to ask her why, but I stopped myself. What was the point? She'd already shown me who she really was, a bitchy, selfish liar who thought she could get away with anything. I didn't want to hear her excuses anymore. I wanted to move on, to find some kind of peace, even if it meant being alone for a while. Honestly, I was exhausted, emotionally drained from the roller coaster of rage, sadness, and betrayal. I'd been so blindsided that I'd lost my sense of who I was. All I knew now was that I had to protect myself from her toxicity and move forward, even if that meant starting from nothing. I also started reflecting on what I'd learned from this nightmare. The biggest lesson: never trust blindly. Never ignore the little signs, because they're often there for a reason. Emily was a master manipulator, and I let her get away with so much because I wanted to believe in the fairy tale. But life isn't a fairy tale, and people like her will tear you apart if you give them the chance. I realized I'd been so eager for love that I overlooked the bitchy, manipulative side she kept hidden. Now I see her clearly. She's a liar, a cheater, someone who doesn't care about anyone but herself. And I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away, even if it hurts like hell. Because staying would only prolong the pain, and I've got to rebuild myself. That's what I keep telling myself now. I'm better off without her, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself slowly rebuilding some sense of stability. I started going to the gym more regularly, trying to clear my mind and channel my anger into something productive. I avoided all the places and people that reminded me of Emily and Jay. Every time I saw a couple happy together, I'd feel a sharp sting of betrayal, like I'd been stupid for trusting anyone, for believing in love. But I also knew I couldn't let that bitterness consume me forever. Deep down, I wanted to move on, to find a way to heal from this brutal experience. One thing I did was get a new job, just to shake things up and get a fresh start. I didn't want to be the guy who gets betrayed and falls apart. I wanted to be stronger, smarter. I knew I needed time to process everything, but I also understood that avoiding my feelings wouldn't help. So I spent nights just lying there, thinking about what I'd lost, what I'd gained, mainly my own sense of self-respect. I kept reminding myself that I deserved better than someone who would lie and cheat and bitch her way through life. At some point, I realized I had to tell my close friends what happened. Mike, my best friend, was an absolute rock. He listened to everything I told him, and I could tell he was furious about Emily's betrayal. He kept saying things like, "She's a bitch, man. You dodged a bullet. You don't need that kind of toxicity in your life." Hearing that from him helped me a lot, because I'd started to question whether I was overreacting or if I was just making a big deal out of nothing. But Mike's support reassured me. I saw that I wasn't crazy. Emily had played me for a fool, and she'd been bitchy and manipulative from the start. I also started to look into legal options, even if I didn't plan to do anything just yet. I wanted to make sure I had everything in order in case she tried to pull some bullshit, like claiming I was jealous or paranoid. I had all the evidence: screenshots, messages, call logs, and I planned to keep it all safe. I was seriously considering taking legal steps to protect myself from her. I didn't want her to try and manipulate me further, or worse, smear my name. I'd seen enough of her bitchy side to know she'd do anything to win, even if it meant lying or spreading rumors. I had to be prepared. Despite all the chaos, I started to find moments of clarity. I realized I'd learned a lot about myself during this nightmare. I learned that I was stronger than I thought, that I could survive betrayal and heartbreak, and that I deserved someone who wouldn't treat me like shit. I also learned that some people are just selfish, bitchy, manipulative liars like Emily, and I finally accepted that I had to let her go completely. The idea of trying to fix things or get her to see the truth seemed impossible now. She'd lied so much, manipulated so easily, that I knew I'd never trust her again. Honestly, I don't know what the future holds. I've got a lot of anger, a lot of pain, but also a flicker of hope that someday I'll find someone who's genuine, honest, and worthy of my trust. Right now, I just need to focus on myself, on healing, and on staying away from toxic people like her. She's not worth the pain, and I refuse to let her ruin me completely. For all her bitchy manipulations and lies, I've learned my lesson. Never ignore the signs, never ignore your gut, and never let someone's bitchiness or lies define you. I've got a long road ahead, but I'm determined to come out of this stronger. Now, looking back, I realize how much this entire experience has changed me. I used to be a guy who trusted too easily, who believed love could conquer all, even when the signs were glaringly obvious that someone was playing me for a fool. Emily's betrayal hit me hard, but it also opened my eyes. I saw her for who she really was, a bitchy, manipulative liar who thought she could get away with anything. And for a while, I let her win. I let her make me question my worth, my judgment, my entire sense of self. But now, I see clearly. I've learned that some people are just inherently selfish, and that the bitchy ones are often the most dangerous because they hide their true nature behind a pretty face and manipulative words. I'll admit, I was naive, but I won't be that guy again. No more blind trust, no more ignoring the red flags. I've come to accept that some betrayals are so deep, so brutal, that they leave scars you carry for a lifetime. But those scars can also be reminders, reminders that I survived, that I'm stronger than someone's lies and bitchy games. Most importantly, I've realized that I don't need someone like Emily in my life. I don't need the kind of woman who manipulates, cheats, and lies just to get her way. I deserve honesty, respect, and someone who truly cares. The pain of betrayal will always be there, but I refuse to let it define me. I'll take what I've learned and use it as a shield for the future. I'll be more cautious, more aware, and more confident in myself. So, here's what I want to say to anyone reading this. If you're going through something similar, don't ignore the signs. Don't try to justify the bitchy attitude, the secretive behavior, the lies. Trust your gut. And if you find out someone you love has been betraying you, whether it's a partner, a friend, or anyone, you have to decide what's more important, holding on to the pain or letting go and moving forward. For me, there's no going back. Emily's betrayal showed me the ugly truth about her, and I've finally accepted that I deserve better. I'm not perfect, and I know I still have a long way to go. But I'm done letting someone else's bitchiness or lies ruin my life. I've taken control again. I've faced the pain and I've chosen to walk away. That's what true strength is, knowing when to let go, when to stand tall, and when to finally say enough is enough. I'm finally doing that, and it feels damn good.